Okay, so welcome everybody to Wednesdays at 1. My name is Kathy Albright and I'm with the Employment Sector Council. Our Wednesdays at 1 series is supported by the City of London as part of its efforts to drive community and economic recovery across our region by bringing us all together to learn, share, and connect with each other. We're planning lots of interesting topics and conversations for this fall, winter, and spring. Please continue to join us when you can. And as always, we'd love to receive any ideas that you might have, believe me, for future sessions. I will put my email in the chat so that everybody has it. And we invite you to introduce yourself in the chat if you have a chance and you want to. So as I mentioned, this session is being recorded and we are hoping to eventually figure out how to upload it onto our website. So we're hoping in the next week or so to have this one as well as the two past that, that we have recorded, figured out. So today, it is my pleasure to introduce our guests for today. Gord Fansher and Sue Defoe, who are with the Ontario Disability Employment Network. So many of you may know Gord because he is the former co-chair of the Job Developers Network and a longtime member of the Employment Sector Council. So Gord is currently the business development specialist at ODEN. He has over 16 years of experience supporting people with disabilities, many of them particularly supporting people to find employment. He also has 30 years of business development experience, both in the private and in the non-for-profit sector. Sue Defoe is the Director of Business and Financial Services at ODEN and Jobability Canada. She has over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit sector in various capacities. So today they'll be sharing information about the Jobability Canada, which is a platform designed by and for people with disabilities to showcase their skills and their abilities. So I'm going to hand it over to Gord and Sue.
Great,
it's all yours.
Thank you. Well, I'm very excited today. This is a really special group close to my heart. And as Kathy mentioned, many, many years, right from almost the inception of the Job Developers Network, I was involved and then involved with a lot of developments of it along the way. And Kathy mentioned the City of London's support for this. And a few years ago, for those that don't know, the City of London recognized the Job Developers Network as adding to the prosperity of London and region. And that was, I think, the first time a community group such as this has had that recognition. And so I think that's a testament to the Job Developers Network and the Employment Sector Council and everybody that in the leadership and guidance of that, and those that come out to the meetings and all the work you're doing to enhance people's lives through employment. That's the most important part. Sue, did you want to say a few words or before we start?
I'm okay. I think Kathy introduced me. Okay. So yeah, so go ahead, Gord. You can go ahead, share your screen, do what you got to do.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, we always double up, and I'm pleased to have Sue with me today. And I was introducing her as my better half, and better is the word, because she helps me in a lot of ways and supports me along the way. But she may not stay because she's very, very busy, and I'll touch on why that is a little bit later. So before we go ahead, and just to clarify, my title is Business Engagement Specialist with ODEN and Jobability Canada. Just a little technicality, but that's okay, Kathy. I might have wrote it down wrong even myself. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm just going to share my screen. I'll be right with you. 1 second. Because what we're here to talk about is something that's very exciting for a couple of reasons. Let's see. Just give me 1 second. Right here, sorry. There, I think we got the full screen now. Thank you, Sue. I'm excited about Jobability, and I was excited when I first saw it because for, like many of you, in supporting people in their journey to employment, anything you can add to their toolbox to enhance that ability to find work is so important. And when I saw this, I thought, wow, I wish I'd seen it sooner. I wish it was available sooner. And so I do get excited when I present it because it's so unique, and it's something we're in the infancy of developing, but really great for people to take advantage of. There's a lot of things, and I go back to my business background. There's a lot of things it's great to get in on the ground floor of. You know, can you imagine if you were around and invested in Apple when it was starting, and stuck and stayed there, right? You know, we'd all be very wealthy today, and the people that did are. But so good to get in on the ground floor of this. So as we start, just a little bit of housekeeping again. If you can stay muted during the presentation, then I can get through the material and we can have a question and answer at the end. That would be great. You can also put your questions in the chat. And as we move forward, it's important to give a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, Jobsability Canada acknowledges that we're gathered today on the customary and traditional lands of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people of Turtle Island. And if we missed anything, please put it in the chat and we'll make sure we add that in there. So what is Jobsability? Jobsability Canada is an exclusive online job platform created by and for people who have a disability. Businesses posting their jobs in Jobsability Canada are demonstrating an intentional commitment to disability inclusive hiring. And I'll come back to that a little bit later. And the job seekers who are on the platform have self-identified as having a disability. So how did Jobsability start? John Robinson, who's the founder of Our Ability, revolutionized the static platform of Our Ability, which is now Jobsability in Canada. John is a quadruple amputee, a graduate of the University of Syracuse School of Journalism, and John started his career in radio sales and promotion when graduating from university. He was the only one of his peers that didn't have a job, even though he graduated near the top of his class. It took John 4 years to find a job, and only after he convinced an employer to pay him 100% commission. So John went on to have a successful career in media for 16 years. And John saw the changing landscape of media, and in the early 2000s started speaking and motivating people with disabilities and talking to employers about the benefits of hiring people with disabilities. Employers began contacting John and asking if he knew anybody that would be a good fit for them. Persons with disabilities started saying, John, your story, my story, can you help me find a job? And so John had this idea of Our Ability, and that's when it was born. And I like the reasoning behind it. Harness the skills of people with disability, showcase their skills, and find them a pathway to employment faster. I think those are really great reasons. John founded and developed the static platform of Our Ability in 2011, which is similar to the platforms that you're used to, like Indeed and Workopolis and those types of platforms, where you upload your resume and register, and then hopefully, you know, you get an email with a match for a position, or you look through and make sure, you know, that you're checking it regularly for jobs. John saw a need to develop a platform that was more interactive and not based heavily on a person's resume and experience, but one that would be based on more skills and abilities. So Our Ability revolutionized that static platform originally created, and in 2018 created Jobsability, which is an artificial intelligence-driven virtual recruitment platform developed in partnership with Microsoft Azure, Syracuse University, and Our Ability USA. Over the years, ODEN and Our Ability have worked together in the past with John, and because of that alignment and our similar mission and vision in working towards increasing employment opportunities, it led to the discussions of John coming to ODEN and saying, I think it'd be a good match for ODEN to represent Jobsability across Canada. So we at ODEN have invested in Jobsability Canada, and in 2021, our ability, or Jobs Ability Canada, was incorporated. And the reason I mention that is because I want you to be rest assured that by doing that, Jobs Ability Canada meets all the terms and service and privacy policies that meet Canadian standards. And that's really important because if you're aware, in the US, things are much different and each state is very different. So we see a tremendous need and value and belief in the innovative platform that is Jobs Ability Canada. And we're investing in what it needs to be for it to be successful. So what makes Jobs Ability unique? It's the artificial intelligence. It's the 3 interconnected artificial intelligence technologies. We think of it as the first one you'll see, the second one you'll experience, and the third one you don't see. The first one is the external ABI, short form for ability. It's a chatbot that interacts with businesses and job seekers on the front page and will direct job seekers and businesses to appropriate areas. And I'll show you a bit more about that in a minute. The second AI technology referred to as internal ABI. So the AI supports job seekers in building their profile as they register, answering the skills questions and moving through the process. And that's done either by chat on one side of the screen, which I'll show you later, or by voice. It helps the job seeker enter information in the system. So it's very supportive that way. The job seeker has 2 options. They can create a profile or they can just view jobs. Either one's okay. The benefit to registering and creating a profile, however, is much more because they'll have access to real-time job matches. And that's where the second part of the AI technology comes in. So as the AI recognizes the skills that match jobs, they will automatically have real-time matching to those positions. So we always recommend creating a profile to take advantage of the AI technology that's in there. So first, job seekers will create their profile using an email address and password. No personal information is collected in Jobs Ability. We also use just the person's city and postal code. And the postal code is really important because there is for example, a London, England, or a Chatham. I think there's a Chatham in the States somewhere, that kind of thing. So you can get crossover there. So that's important. There's 7 sections in total to fill out. There's a profile, ideal job, skills and abilities, experience, education, certifications, achievements, and accommodations. The job seeker can move from section to section as they want, and Abby will support them along the way if they need it. The ideal job section is where a job seeker can enter keywords, a sentence, whatever they want. The skills and abilities section is the biggest section. So remember, John's vision was to highlight people's skills and showcase their skills. And under this, bundled under headings, including communications, leadership, problem solving, and many others, I'll show you in a minute. A job seeker can take their time and enter that information. And it's important to know as a person enters information, they can do it in chunks too. They don't have to do it all at once. The experience section is where a job seeker can enter those typical things that we look for and businesses look for: employers, work and volunteer experience, education, and certifications and achievements. And the last section is accommodations. This section is never shared with a business, but the section is meant for a job seeker to complete and provide them with an opportunity to think about what they would need to be successful in their employment journey. So remember, I mentioned before, I really would have liked to have this when I was an employment specialist, job developer, because it's one of those things where you can promote self-determination and self-awareness. And by going through those questions, they've thought about it, the person thought about it before they get to the interviewing process. And I know some of you, most of you probably go through that anyway, but this gives them an opportunity to identify some things right away. As job seekers complete more and more of their profile, the artificial intelligence will be able to provide better real-time matches. Sue came up with this term, and I really like it. It's like, think about it as filling their skills bucket. And the more information they put into the bucket and they fill the bucket, the better it is for the artificial intelligence to make those matches. So what are real-time matches? That's the third piece of the technology. One thing to note is that the AI technology works quite differently from other mainstream recruitment platforms. So for example, other platforms are exclusive. They tend to be exclusive, where you'll have different certain words that will be triggered, or certain phrases or gaps in a resume that will remove a person from the process. Jobsability Canada and the AI technology is designed to be inclusive. So for example, think about your profile again as a bucket. And as you add things to that profile, it's adding to your ability to find a good match. The AI technology goes to work when a profile has some basic information and provides the top 5 ideal jobs on the right-hand side of the screen. I can show you that in a minute. A job seeker can view all the job descriptions in these jobs and click and apply as well. And also a job seeker can search the database as well if they want on their own. So again, building that self-determination into their job search. When a job seeker is ready to apply for a job, they click the apply button, and this takes them from the Jobsability Canada platform into the business's recruitment platform. The platform, which I'll show you in a moment, also comes with accessibility modes and tools. I've never seen this before on any other platform, and I think it's becoming more common, but it's very inclusive on this platform. And for instance, there's an epilepsy safe mode, an ADHD mode, and there's several contrast colors, font sizes, screen readers that whatever a person may need is available to them. The accessibility section has recently been updated, and it's continually being updated and upgraded as well. So there's also on there a training library. So sometimes we'll have people who are not connected with an employment service provider or any supports. So they can go in there and learn about resume writing, job searching tips, disclosure and accommodations again, interview prep sessions, and communication skills training. This section is really exciting because this can involve you. So third-party access for job coaches is where you can be entered in there with the consent of the job seeker as their job coach. So they enter your email and you become their job coach within the system. Now this person could be you as an employment service provider, an employment coach. It could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be someone within that person's circle of influence that's supporting them along the way. It's whatever and whoever they choose to have. Once approved, the job coach will be able to see the job seeker and their portal. As a person in an employment service provider, you can have multiple people that you're coaching, so that's unlimited. You'll be able to see a list of the job seekers that you have identified in there. You can get a feed of recent activity for all your job seekers, and you can view the job seeker's profile, their skills, abilities, and their saved jobs and saved searches. This allows you to make suggestions, see activity, track a job seeker's process through the process, and again, building that self-determination, self-awareness for people. So just to review, the job seeker process is pretty straightforward. They register, build that profile, that skills bucket. Real-time matches will start to happen. Then they apply for jobs and are taken out into the recruitment process with the business, have an interview and get the job. The business process is similar, but there are some differences. So we have businesses approach us or we approach them. And before we accept a business that pays a subscription to have their jobs listed across Canada, we do a vetting process where we ask them some questions. we want employers that are on the system, on the platform, to be intentionally inclusive in their hiring. So they need to have an inclusive strategy in their business strategy and their strategic plan, and have that built into the fabric of their business before we will register them on the system. But once they're registered, we can then use the artificial intelligence to do what we call job harvesting and take their URL and draw their positions over to the platform. The system also will drop those positions that become when they expire. And that's a little different than some of the platforms. And maybe you've experienced where someone will go on a platform and apply for a job only to realize it expired 2 weeks ago or a month ago. That won't happen here. Then the real-time matching will start to happen too with the positions. Then the person goes out of the system and starts into the recruitment process, and then hopefully they fill the job vacancy that they have. So that ends the first part of the presentation. Is there any questions at this point?
There is one, Gord,
Okay.
that's in the chat. Lisa asked, does JAC, Jobability Canada, help or coach employers to create or adapt inclusive hiring policies and practices?
Yes. So if a business is not quite there yet with their diversity and inclusion strategy, that's the nice part about it. We can refer them back and offer them options about training with Ontario Disability Employment Network, or ODEN. And so we have all those offerings available to them, like disability awareness, confidence training. We can help and consult them on creating job postings that don't have ableist language in them, and that are worded in a way that is attracting people with disabilities. And there's many other ones as well. But yeah, we can work with them with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gord, I'm just going to jump in.
Sure.
Those businesses, if they don't have current policies in place and they don't have a DEI strategy, then they won't be on Jobsability Canada.
Right.
So I'm going to put that out there. We vet all of the businesses that we come in. So if it is a business that, as Gord mentioned, is very new and doesn't have any policies in place, then we would refer them back to ODEN, or if they're in another province, to one of the other organizations that do provide that training for them. And then when they're ready, they would come on the Jobsability platform. So in the last year, we've turned away 3 companies now, and we've sent them back, one outside of our province, 2 in Ontario. One has gone ahead and has started disability awareness and confidence training. They're working with us. The one outside of the province, we referred them to another organization, and they've gone ahead and started working on stuff there. So those businesses that are on the platform right now have DEI strategies that include disability, and they have the processes in place to hire somebody who has a disability. So we do that homework before they come onto the platform. And Wanda, no, the City of London is not on the platform as an employer yet. However, the City of Toronto is, and they hire a lot of seasonal. I mean, most large cities do. So in the spring, we see a huge pickup in the number of jobs on the site by them, and they love the platform and hired from the platform. I don't have an exact number from them yet, but they said it was very successful for them. So the City of London is on our radar. So is a couple other municipalities.
Great. Any other questions at all? Okay. So what you're seeing now, I believe, is the Jobsability Canada website. And you can see on the right-hand side, Abby is there to work along with people. On the left-hand side down at the bottom is this is my kind of artwork, stick people, but I'm not very artsy. But it identifies the accessibility mode section. And here you have epilepsy mode, visually impaired, cognitive disability mode, ADHD mode, and blindness. So for example, if I click on ADHD, it's going to highlight just the area that I'm reading. I think, can you see that okay? Yeah. So those are available. And then there's other settings down here. There's a dictionary, there's a readable experience, text magnifier, different fonts, font sizing, line height, spacing. You can even set it to left align, center, right. So there's a lot of different contrasts as well, lighting, monochrome, and different colors. So that's really helpful for those that need that. And then in order to log into the system, we go over here to log in, and I'm going to use a system or a profile that we've set up. And I just log in like normal. Whoops. There we go. And we come into Jane Abilities profile. I always want to accept cookies. And now you'll see Abby on the left-hand side of the screen here. And there's some prompts there as well. So as a person goes through, they're going to be prompted over here on the left-hand side by Abby, or they can choose the audio as well. I'm just going to move you guys off my screen. There we go. And as you can see, Jane Ability has filled out a profile, or we've filled some things in for her ideal position, retail and sales, administrative, clerical. And as she's built that in, there's some information here that's important to her skills. And as she goes down, she can fill in the person can fill in their ideal job. So here she's done it in a sentence, as well as some words that would identify what would be her ideal job. This is where her job coach was put in, and Sue's her job coach. She's my job coach too, but she's very good. So anyway, she's identified her as her job coach. And that's just by putting her email in there. Her education history is here. And her, oops, sorry, there we go. And then we get into the skills section. And this is where I talked about the drop down. So a person can go through and in the drop down, identify with problem solving, for example, if they strongly agree, not sure, disagree, or strongly disagree, that they have problem solving skills. And the same goes through for all the different areas that you can see: your communication, leadership, attitude, sales, arts, service design, anything that's really important that they have skills with. And the more they put in there, the better. Then their employment history goes in as well. Certifications that they may have, like WMIS or AODA. There could be others that they have. And then we get to the accommodations. And this is being enhanced shortly, but right now it's currently these questions, which helps them kind of identify what they may need to be successful in the job, as I mentioned before. So as we come up to the top, you can see on the right-hand side, there's some positions that have been real-time matched for Jane and that she can identify here. She can either accept them, she can see more by clicking on it, what the job description is. And then when she applies, which I won't do, but it'll take her out of the Jobsability platform to that company's, this happens to be the City of Toronto, their platform. Up on the left, there's an open menu where you can see the person's dashboard. So based on the information they put in, it gives you an idea of where they're best suited. So anything between business relations and communications for Jane. Right now, there's a total of 3 jobs that she's saved. And this is things as a job coach that you can go in and see with those that accept you as a coach. In my jobs, she saved some jobs here. There's 3 that she saved, and then there's a couple there identified for her. I mentioned the training materials, and this is where you'll find those. So there's the area on resume writing, just a good video there. Job search, disclosure and accommodations, and anybody that's supported someone with disabilities, that disclosure piece is really important to know how to handle and when to do it. Interview prep and communication skills training. And there's John Robinson right there. Not a very good picture of him, but we could start the video. But so that gives you an idea of how the inside of the platform works. Oh, go back here. Any questions about that?
Yes, I do. It's Wanda.
Wanda.
The client that you highlighted here is where it says Mississauga. Does that mean that person lives in Mississauga? Is that why all the Toronto jobs came up?
Probably,
like, does it
yeah.
look for jobs that are close to the city that you live in?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have put in for her.
Yeah, at the very top, Gord, underneath the logo, which normally would be a picture.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the postal code. So Wanda, everything's attached to postal code. And if somebody is willing to relocate, there is a checkbox that they check off, and that gives them, it'll ask like where they're going to locate to. There's also a box there that you can check that says remote jobs. So anything that's remote would appear there. So a job seeker would have to click that box on and off, because if you click remote jobs the way it is right now, you'll get only remote jobs. They're working on fixing that. People feel differently about it, right? They only want to see remote jobs, or they want to see all the remote jobs and the jobs in their area. So right now, if you click the remote jobs, that's all you're getting is just remote jobs.
Any other questions?
Kathy had a question. I don't know if everybody saw it. She said, once the job seeker is sent to the business's website to apply, can the employer access the information on the person's profile to find out why and how they matched? So yes, the employer can go backwards into the system and look up by name and look at the whole profile minus the accommodation section, which is completely private. The other thing the business can do is they can search all the profiles in the system by using any one of different, search words. They can search by location, they can search by skills, they can search by somebody's name. And in the system, it allows the employer to reach out via chat, like a message, and send a message to a potential candidate to say, I would say, hi, Kathy, I saw your profile. We're really interested in talking to you. Here's the job description. And then Kathy can respond to us and say, thank you, I'm interested. Can I get more information? Or I applied, or Kathy can say, thank you, but no, thank you. But you have to have a profile in the system. Just because a job seeker applies through Jobsability Canada, if they don't have a profile, there's nothing there for business to come back and search on. Trevor, you had a question?
Yeah, I was curious about Abby and how or if Abby's able to troubleshoot along the way. So if somebody had a question or wasn't certain what Abby was asking for, or wanted to do something that they weren't clear about what to do, could they ask Abby, like, I don't understand what you mean by that, or can you help? Is there a way that it can be interactive that way, or is it just more of a guide in that way?
Currently, Abby is a guide. So for what you're asking, like, yes, you can ask Abby questions, but Abby won't break down what a question is asking. I think right now Abby would just repeat the question to you, which is not what you're asking for. And so that's why, we have job coach access, and we have that because we know some job candidates, some job seekers require a little more support on some of those questions. So when you get into some of the skills questions, there are some candidates who require their job coach to review that with them and help them answer some of those questions in the skills, in that skills. So it depends on the level of support. Like, Jobsability is never going to replace the job coach / employment specialist job developer. That is not the goal. The goal is to allow them to be more independent and provide a platform that is looking for, the disability talent pool. So that, because I know in some of the mainstream platforms like Indeed and Workopolis, those job seekers are automatically, there's barriers, right? They're automatically excluded right from the get-go, or they're so frustrated because they don't have help along the way, or they apply for a job they probably are perfectly qualified for, and they never hear from a business because that business is not an inclusive employer. And how do you differentiate those, right? The Jobsability platform provides you that opportunity, and also provides a business to look at profiles outside of the norm of that regular resume, right? A resume can only tell you so much.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I was going to say that's amazing that a job seeker with this platform will know that this employer, whatever employer they're responding to, is inclusive. So they know that right from the get-go. That's amazing, I think.
And Wanda, I'll be honest, that's what drew me to Jobsability, was that it's a spot and we vet those businesses, because our goal at ODEN, and I've been part of the sector for a long time, is that we get more people who have a disability in meaningful employment, whatever that means for them. So if it opens up, on a regular, let's say you are helping 20 job seekers at one time, if by using this platform, you can now help 30, because some of them can be a little more independent and you can check up on them, then that means more people are going to end up in meaningful employment and have successful employment, right? We hear about it, all those horror stories, whether you have a disability or not. You get into an organization and once you got there, it was not what you were thinking, or they don't have the supports that you need to be successful in your job. And so the goal is that they end up with great matches as well. Nope. Kathy just asked the question, is the platform just for people with physical disabilities, or does it allow people with intellectual and other disabilities? So Kathy, the platform is made for anybody who self-identifies as having any kind of disability. I will say that when we were beta testing a year ago, gosh, I can't believe it's a year tomorrow. When we were beta testing a year ago, some of the community livings who were beta testing did tell us that some of their job seekers who had required a high level of support, this job platform probably wasn't for them. But there are other candidates who were higher functioning who had intellectual disabilities. This was a great platform. So it all depends. It's not supposed to be a blanket to cover everything and every disability and every level of support. As I said, the job seeking clients, if they require a high level of support, then they're probably still going to require support. They're not going to be independent on the platform.
I was wondering, how does the accommodation piece work? Because it's private, so the employers cannot see what accommodations would be needed. So how is that handled?
So what happens is every business, depending on the size of the business, has a different way for a job seeker when they're applying to identify that they came from Jobsability Canada. And what that does is it flags them that somebody who's applying has a disability, and there is, you need to ask about accommodations while they're going through the recruitment process and if they're hired. And so what that does is those questions in the back end help the job seeker, and if they have their job coach, identify what kind of accommodations they're going to require. Because what we find sometimes is they get into an interview and they're not really sure of what accommodations they're going to need in order to be successful at that job. And so it's a thinking piece. There was some question as do they open up that side to an employer, but really that's up to the job seeker to do. Like it's if they want to disclose their disability, whatever, that's up to them. That's not something we want to open up. So it's made as a tool to help a job seeker think about what kind of accommodations they're going to need, so that when that question comes up from the potential employer, it says, do you require any kind of accommodations? They can say yes. And I need A, B, C, and D.
So if a job seeker requires, say, a job coach, basically, are those employers willing to work with the job seeker and their job coach?
I would say yes, most of them would be. I know the BRIC does do that currently. So yes, they're all made aware. And that's one of the questions we get sometimes, Wanda, if when we're vetting them and they say, well, we don't allow job coaches. Okay, you're obviously non-inclusive hire. Like, let's break this down, right? To me, that's the first red flag where I say, okay, no.
Okay.
So for us, we do that vetting a little bit, but most places, you know, somewhere in the recruitment platform, or when they know you've come from Jobsability, if they get contacted for an interview, they would have their job coach, and the job coach would identify, like in the communication with the job seeker, that, hi, you know, Sue has a job coach. My name is Wanda. I'm Sue's job coach, and we'll be attending the interview with them.
Okay, that's awesome. Because I know a lot of people, the interview process is probably the most difficult because the anxiety, you know, if anybody has high anxiety, the interview process, you know, I've heard that so many times, that's where they lose the job, the interview.
Yes, it's so very true. And you know what? It is. I mean, interviews are taxing for me, and I don't identify as having a disability. So I hear you on that one. Yeah. So we have one more question from Lisa. Can job seekers see the jobs before they register to create a profile? Yes, Lisa, they can. And Gord is sharing the screen right now.
Actually, I'll go back to show you where to find it. Sorry,
yes,
Sue.
that's okay.
Yeah, down currently on the, oops.
You went too far.
I
There
went
it
too
is.
far. So
Nope.
if we start,
Yep.
yeah, I was just going to show if we start here and just go down about halfway. Currently, it's right here where you access See All Jobsability Canada jobs. And that brings up everything across Canada. So you can see there's 1,220 jobs currently across Canada. It gives you a filter of companies. So these are the current companies that we have. Rogers, City of London, the Brick, Travelers Insurance, Telesat is a international satellite company, the Globe and Mail, and those. And then they're filtered by title, by state and province and city. So you can go in there and filter them out. Do you want to talk about ableist language, or do you want me to? I noticed there's one here that's showing up, Sue.
Well, I mean, you can talk about it, Gord, but I'm not. They are working on an ableist language filter. And what that means is that for employers, when their jobs come across, they'll get a notification that says, you know, your job posting has these ableist language, and here's the suggestions. That has been, it's a large undertaking in order to make the AI technology do that. I would say you're looking somewhere in 2023 for that to become available. But if we see that in some of our job postings, we sometimes suggest and go back to the employer that, hey, I think you need to change this. Do they always change it? No. I mean, I'll be very honest. They don't change it because at some large corporations, the rigmarole they have to go through to get a job description changed sometimes isn't worth its weight in salt. They say they rather leave it up and realize that, you know, they can't get through those loopholes. So there is a ableist language filter coming, but we also do quarterly updates with those employers. So if we flag those and we actually have a meeting with them, we can say, hey, you know, your job's appearing 100 times. And when you're getting there, only 3 people are actually clicking apply. And you know what, there's ableist language in your job description. So they're looking at your job description and saying, absolutely not.
Cool. Well, thank you, Gord and Sue, very much for this wonderful presentation. This truly, like, I am so impressed with the technology and the way they've used the technology and the way that you vet the employers, so that if somebody with a disability goes onto that site, they know that the businesses that they're dealing with are ones that where they would feel very comfortable. And that is awesome. So thank you very much for coming and sharing this information with us. That's terrific. So just to wrap up, did you guys have any other comments that you would like to make before we wrap up?
No. So Kathy, I just put my email in the chat. I need to hop on to the next one. So thank you very much, everybody. My email's there. And if in doubt, info@jobsability.ca, right? Info@ always works, and you'll get Gord or myself. So thank you.
Now, Now, before everybody rushes off, I do have one last thing to ask. Before you go, I'm going to share a very short 2-question poll to measure your level of satisfaction with today's presentation. So if you could just take a minute and answer the questions, we would really, really appreciate it. So thank you again for attending today's session, and I hope you guys have a great day. But here comes the poll.
I guess I won't do it.
You can if you want.
But I was just going to add that if you're asking yourself, what can you do to support it? The best thing to do is to talk to your job seekers about it. Give them the informed choice to build a, register and build a profile, and it's free. So why not? It's another tool, as I said, in their toolbox. And as we build out the other side, because we're at the point where we need job seekers in the system for employers to see the return on investment, because that's where the money comes from, the subscribing businesses. So in order for them to see a good return on their investment, they're going to want to see a lot of job seekers in the system. And it's like any other platform. When you're job searching, you put your name in Indeed, say, and build your profile there, and you leave it there, and you get emails from them. And so it's no different than that. It's an enhancement to a person's job search.
Awesome.
So we
Well,
really appreciate that. And thank you for the opportunity, Kathy. And you're doing a wonderful job on your own now. Whoa.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again, everybody, for joining us, and I hope you have an awesome day.
All right. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.